the face, the only face, the real face of women's basketball, period. She did it again, Caitlin Clark, shattering records, creating new viewership records for USA Sports. She did it again. Y'all keep running around trying to pretend like this person's the face of the league, that person's the face of the league because they've been here.
Total panic has engulfed the upper echelons of professional women's basketball after a monumental disruption that has left top executives scrambling for survival. Right on the heels of securing Player of the Week accolades and smashing yet another historical milestone, the sport's biggest sensation opted out of a victory lap to drop a bombshell on front office management. She issued a fierce, uncompromising demand to immediately overturn the controversial suspension of a highly respected peer, making it abundantly obvious that failure to correct this massive injustice would result in her walking away with her massive audience in tow. To grasp the sheer terror currently gripping network heads, you must examine the shady administrative maneuvering that ignited this standoff. A beloved gritty competitor known for her genuine personality was unexpectedly slapped with an absurd, heavy-handed sanction by union officials, sparking massive outrage among dedicated supporters. Instead of honoring authentic talent and hard work, behind-the-scenes decision-makers tried to quietly eliminate a popular figure, assuming the fan base would simply look the other way. However, these corporate operators made a catastrophic miscalculation by completely failing to recognize how fiercely loyal their marquee superstar is to the integrity of the game.
For more than 50 years of sports business, Darren Rovell is telling the truth. Leagues and unions have long forbidden using derogatory NIL. The most popular NBA student example of this is the Reggie Miller choke and crotch grab. There she is, Helen of Troy. There she is, Helen of Troy, Sophie Cunningham herself. They generally do not know how to run a marketing campaign. Folks, when I first saw this, I was like, dude, who is this troll? Who is this troll? But then I looked at the source and I was like, oh, this is a real source. This isn't some Joe Schmo. This is a...
Instead of relying on carefully crafted press releases or hiding behind sanitized public relations representatives, the league's top draw took a fiercely direct approach that will undoubtedly cement her legacy outside the lines. She confronted the issue head-on, delivering a blunt warning that the establishment must immediately reverse the ban or face devastating consequences of their own making. Every syllable she spoke carried immense financial weight, directly calling out the leadership for actively undermining their own product and treating foundational talents with profound disrespect. This aggressive stance has created an absolute financial crisis for nervous sponsors and broadcast partners who rely entirely on her star power. Whenever she steps onto the hardwood, viewership figures explode past 1.4 million eager spectators who tune in strictly for her specific brand of magic. By drawing a hard line in the sand, she reminded the financial backers that their unprecedented television ratings are entirely dependent on her presence, and without her participation, those massive audience metrics will evaporate overnight.
Lady right here, Sophie Cunningham. So that takes us back to Darren Rovell. The WNBA Players Association is currently prohibiting licensees from using the Sophie Cunningham point, saying that it is, quote, derogatory. What? What? That is absurd. And if I was Sophie Cunningham, I would be kicking and screaming. What? I saw this and was like, oh, this league is ate up with the perpetually offended. The most viral moment of the year can't get licenses because you got players that were offended by it. Remember all the people online? Oh, that's so disrespectful to black women.
By putting her own unparalleled influence on the line to shield a fellow competitor, the generational talent firmly seized control of the sport's entire revenue stream. She essentially demonstrated that those massive daily viewership numbers are not loyal to the shield on the jersey, but rather to her individual brilliance. Behind closed doors at the main corporate offices, the atmosphere has reportedly devolved into frantic screaming matches and desperate attempts to shift the blame. Television executives, who have already secured massive paydays by selling premium advertising slots based on her expected appearances, are aggressively demanding answers from panicked commissioners. There is simply no viable way to spin a scenario where the ultimate cash cow initiates a massive strike because of petty administrative overreach. The long-standing authorities who have grown accustomed to dictating terms to athletes are suddenly waking up to the harsh reality that they hold absolutely zero leverage in this negotiation. They are faced with a stark binary choice: either completely surrender to these new demands or witness their entire billion-dollar operation disintegrate on live television.
That's really the question. It's like, is Caitlyn going to be your superstar? And you're Batman, and Kelsey, you're Robin.
The fact that this even has to be a conversation is why this thing needs to be split apart. The Indiana Fever, when Caitlyn and Kelsey play, yes, they're effective because they're both really, really great basketball players. I mean, well, Kelsey, she could score. She don't do nothing else, but she could score the hell out the basketball. But the fact that there's no pecking order established, it's like a free-for-all, that is the problem. That's the problem. The Dallas Wings established a pecking order. The Las Vegas Aces established a pecking order. The Liberty established a pecking order. Like all these other superstars, or not other stars, because they're not superstars because people don't really watch them, but all of the other great players, LA Sparks, Kelsey Plum, there's a pecking order. The Indiana Fever is the only place where there's no real pecking order, and that's the problem.
When last year, when Caitlyn was then you relied heavily on Kelsey. And you guys were one game away from making it to the final, right? So my thing is, we talked about
inside locker rooms scattered across the entire nation. Fellow competitors are observing this unprecedented display of leverage with complete astonishment. For generations, the standard operating procedure dictated that athletes must bite their tongues, accept flawed rulings, and blindly follow the corporate script to protect their livelihoods. However, this explosive defense of a sidelined peer has fundamentally shattered those oppressive historical boundaries and permanently altered the internal culture of the sport. Professional players are waking up to the realization that when an irreplaceable generational draw outright rejects back-channel politics and biased policing, the executives in suits lack the ammunition to force compliance. Even legacy media pundits, who typically contort themselves to justify whatever the front office decides, are currently squirming on live television as they attempt to process this staggering defeat. Talking heads who previously attributed the recent viewership boom to general organic growth are now eating their words as the undeniable truth slaps them in the face. The very second this standoff went public, the digital landscape transformed into a raging battlefield, with legions of fiercely loyal supporters hijacking official social media accounts, organizing massive boycotts, and throwing their absolute support behind the unprecedented ultimatum.
Every time she sets foot on the court whilst shattering viewership records, that's Caitlin Clark for you, the face of the league. Yeah, look, Aces, oh man, maybe it was Ace's son. I thought it was Aces Sparks. Ace's son USA 343,000. Wow, I thought it was Aces Sparks. Maybe they just don't have the Aces Sparks on this list, but damn, that's bad news bears. That's bad. The three highest rated games on USA, Fever Sparks, Fever Tempo, Fever Sparks. Oh, one common denominator to certain somebody's team. Is it not? Is it not Jamel Hill? Let's get into the player of the week, shall we? Your AP player of the week, Caitlin Clark. Many people reported on this yesterday. Many people talked about this yesterday. Congratulations to Caitlin Clark, player of the week, well deserved. Getting player of the week while on minutes restriction is wild work. It's crazy. Absolutely insanity. Caitlin Clark by herself is must-see TV. She is amazing and the only person I have to drop everything I'm doing to watch her play. WNBA candidate and all.
This monumental clash extends far beyond a temporary roster dispute or a single week of regular season action, representing a seismic evolution in the mechanics of modern entertainment monopolies. Historically, secluded boardrooms operated under the assumption that they could meticulously engineer public perception, manipulate selective guidelines, and independently crown or crush specific athletes. Yet, this situation proves definitively that organic once-in-a-lifetime magnetism refuses to be micromanaged by a panel of out-of-touch directors. This unprecedented pulling power is rooted in genuine emotion, fierce peer advocacy, and unscripted brilliance, meaning her voice single-handedly mobilizes millions while leaving traditional power brokers grasping at straws. Terrified global advertisers are currently bombarding the central office with demands for a rapid de-escalation of the conflict. Astronomical endorsement agreements are teetering on the edge of cancellation as legal teams frantically evaluate the catastrophic financial damage of a widespread player strike. The reality is that the financial backers harbor zero allegiance to internal union squabbles or bruised executive egos. Their sole focus is maximizing screen time and maintaining a pristine public image. With the overwhelming majority of consumer sentiment leaning heavily toward the protesting athletes, the governing body is trapped in a suffocating bind with absolutely no escape route.
Top 4 three-point shooters in the entire WNBA. Aaliyah Boston, Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, and we have Caitlin Clark. There wasn't a picking the best, the most popular player, but clear anti-fever agenda. Now, I believe they might have tweeted this before news came out that Caitlin Clark actually declined that, but I don't know if Sophie would have turned it down. Now, we don't know if they invited Sophie, but I'm pretty sure Sophie is definitely going to respond to this. You know what I'm saying? I do know Sophie do respond to people. If we like add her a bunch of times on Twitter, try to see why, like, got to be something we could do. Sophie Cunningham, as of right now, is 43%. Aaliyah Boston, 46%. Kelsey Mitchell, 42%. Wow, bro. So technically, Aaliyah Boston is the best three-point shooter right now in the whole W. Wow, bro. Where's AZ Flood at? Wow. It's definitely going to be a boring three-point contest. But I want to know you guys' thoughts down in the comment section right now. Make sure you guys keep them bills on. I will be back with more content.
The grassroots reaction to this explosive standoff has rapidly evolved into an overwhelming tidal wave of consumer rebellion that simply cannot be contained. Online communities spanning every major social network are actively coordinating widespread television blackouts, swearing to entirely abandon any future broadcasts that dare to air without both of the controversial figures in uniform. The core demographic is broadcasting a deafeningly clear mandate. Audiences expect transparent equity, mutual respect, and unfiltered competitive fire, and they are more than willing to crash the entire viewership infrastructure to get it. If the organizational leadership stubbornly refuses to reverse course, the bridge will be permanently burned, leaving the current administration entirely isolated from the fans who pay their salaries. While PR departments might attempt to deploy damage control tactics, craft misleading legal statements, or pivot the conversation, the viewers are seeing straight through the corporate smokescreen. This historic moment cements the reality that the sport's greatest active phenomenon has weaponized her immense global reach to shield her colleagues, pulling the curtain back on institutional flaws and guaranteeing that authentic athletic greatness will continually overpower bureaucratic maneuvering.
Just proud of our group, and obviously a lot of people stepped up in AB's absence, and obviously KK, was incredible tonight too. You
said you could tell before the game started. Was there a moment or point in time where that happened? A specific thing happened? How did that feeling come for you?
I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you just have to believe you're going to have those type of nights, and you have to visualize having those type of nights, and I feel like that's what I did. And it's not always going to go your way. Sometimes there's going to be, a stretch where the ball's not going through the rim, and you can't get discouraged. And I know all the time in the work that I've put in, and people believe in me, and more than anything, I believe in myself. And you just got to dig your feet in a little bit, and when it's not going your way, nobody cares. Like, find a way to make it better and find a way to help your team win and make this team better. And I feel like that's what I always try to do.
Caitlin, can you take us through 102 tied up? You're kind of scrambling a little bit as the shot clock's kind of falling down. They got a deflection, circled back towards half court and kind of went up. Can you take us through that? I think that was your 41st point to kind of go ahead that whole play.
Yeah, obviously we had the ball with the game tied, and they kind of blew up our ATO. Like, they played good defense and, got a good tip on the ball, and I was able to chase it down and then get the deflection, which I don't know if I got her on the arm or if it was clean, but I'm not sure the ref was in a position to make the call. I think it was pretty clean. I don't know, but just tried to make a good play on the ball, and then obviously coming back down, I was trying to get the ref to inbound it faster. Like, I wanted to play fast. I didn't want them to set their...
Now we need to hear exactly where you stand regarding this earth-shattering power struggle where a lone superstar is holding an entire professional organization hostage to protect a sidelined colleague. Do you view this as the most spectacular flex of player empowerment in recent athletic memory? Or do you believe the governing body permanently destroyed its own credibility by trying to silence a beloved figure in the first place? Sound off in the comment section below and let your unfiltered opinions fly right now. We want to ignite a massive debate, so absolutely obliterate that like button until it gives out. Make sure you hit subscribe and flip on every single notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the biggest stories changing the landscape of sports. And spread this breakdown to every single genuine fan who craves the unvarnished reality. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will catch you on the next thrilling update.